So I used to be a absolute fiend for sugar and sugary foods. I remember a time in my life where I used to eat a lot of fruit and like putting stuff into smoothies to make like protein smoothies, but really it was like just like sugary stuff to make it taste really like nice and exciting. I was kind of like a fiend for that stuff, along with, like the typical processed foods, like cookies and Pop Tarts and whatever. The I used to be a really big sugar fiend, and it's funny because I had almost this like constant compulsion and this constant kind of like pull to just keep eating, sweet things like, this is tasty. I want more, 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 more. And eventually it got to a point to where I was just eating sugar just because it tasted good. And I didn't really, at a certain point, I stopped tracking my calories and, being as rigorous with the foods that I consume. And so at a certain point, it just kind of got out of hand. And I remember waking up one morning, looking at myself in the mirror, and just thinking, like, I've gotten quite fat. I've gotten quite, like, watery and bloated and slow. And I remember just like kind of thinking with regret, like, wh- how how did this happen? Just kind of looking back, like, why did I allow this to occur? It's really sad, honestly, but yeah, I got kind of fat from eating too much sugary nonsense and all that stuff. And even whenever I was trying to clean it up, I was still it was still getting worse. Even though I'd cleaned up everything, I was still eating like I was just eating like fruit and whatnot, and yet it was still getting worse. And so I made a decision a little bit afterwards to cut it out of my life. And eventually I decided to cut it out completely, cut out carbs, cut out sugar, cut out everything of nonsense. And so that's kind of the short story of why I eat zero sugar, to say the least, is I just woke up one day and I decided that I had enough of this thing that was getting me fat and whatnot. And so the reason why I'm making this video is just I want to explain why I eat absolutely zero sugar and why I would encourage people to try eating zero sugar, or at least to reduce the amount that they eat in their lives and just see what that does for them. I would encourage just to an experiment of you cutting out sugar and seeing how you feel for like a couple weeks and just see what it's like to not to get it out of your life and kind of like detox from it for a little bit and just to see what it's like. That's really the overall goal of this video. But yeah, I'm just gonna go over why I eat zero sugar, and maybe it'll convince you why. Maybe it'll convince you to try it yourself and to see how it goes. So besides getting kind of fat and overeating a lot, which was honestly probably the biggest problem for why for sugar and whatnot, is just like the overeating and the constant compulsion to eat even though you feel really full. For me, it just made me want to eat more and more, and I didn't really like that. The Another reason why I don't eat any sugar anymore, though, is it's honestly just not worth the taste, because at a certain point, whenever you get like some sugar, for me now, it's just kind of like it makes me feel kind of sick almost whenever I eat, sugary items. And just kind of reflecting on the times whenever I ate, processed foods and whatnot, my stomach always hurt afterwards. And even whenever I ate, like, the clean carbs, like fruit and whatnot, my stomach still felt like weird, oddly like sick, and it felt off for some reason. And so I just decided like it's just not worth the taste anymore. Even though like yeah, it's stimulating. This actually tastes really good. Like it's not worth it. And all the other negative side effects that come after that taste, like for me, I found that sometimes I'll feel some brain fog. So like just my mental clarity just kind of feels weird. My emotional regulation is kind of worse, and obviously like getting fat and whatnot from that, and the chance to overeat if I'm not like rigorously tracking the calories, then like just weighing those two options, it's just not worth it in my opinion. And so that's one of the reasons why. But another reason why is just because like the amount of discipline that I feel whenever I avoid this kind of like instant gratification of eating ultra tasty foods, of eating sugar, of breaking the diet that I'm on, which is, just just clean food. Like I basically only eat meat and eggs for the most part. Like meat, eggs, and butter is my diet essentially. That's all I eat. And so it's kind of this weird kind of like self-confidence boost to have that discipline. Like, no, I don't eat sugar. So it just kind of it it builds me up in other areas of life as well. Just having that discipline of like, yeah, like I don't even eat like I don't eat sugar. I don't have any like weird junk food. And so it kind of gives me the confidence to think like, okay, well, I can also do this then. I can also do this. I can also stick to this for a while. I can try this habit, and I know I'll stick to it. And I'm going to work at sticking to it because I've done this other thing previously. Like I don't give in to this instant gratification of eating sugar, and I think that it kind of broadens my ability to have discipline in other areas of life, which I really enjoy personally. And that's one of the things that I would really suggest with changing your diet and whatnot is like if you can actually find a diet that you can genuinely stick to, that makes you feel good, makes you feel healthy, it just gives you an ability to do other things in your life that you want to do, at least from my experience, because it kind of gives you that backbone of like, okay, I can do this, and this is something that I do every day. Like most people eat food basically every day, right? And so if you have that discipline of like, okay, I do this specific intentional practice every single day, it kind of gives you that like that foundation for doing other beneficial things in your life. And I've found that by cutting out sugar and cutting out kind of like foods and being a little bit more disciplined in terms of what I eat, it's actually helped my life in other areas as well. Not just kind of the benefits that you get from, cutting out junk food or cutting out sugar. It's just been the habitual and the behavior changes that kind of coincide with that have really helped me. And I'm going to keep this video kind of short, I guess, but life is just better without sugar, in my opinion. I think that my experience of life is just so much, it's brighter, it's clearer, it's less tainted by this kind of weird compulsion and drive to have more, like a drug fiend. Like I don't want to be a drug fiend anymore. That's the thing, is having that constant compulsion to have like more and more, like yes, more. Like it's it's it doesn't feel right. I remember just thinking to myself like I'm full, I should probably stop, but just one more. And especially with stuff like fruit and obviously like the processed food like cookies and whatnot. I remember like I would eat one piece and think, yeah, I'm good, but one more won't hurt, and then just having more, and then suddenly like half the cookie tin is gone, or I've eaten an entire pineapple and I feel sick afterward after both events, and it's just like and you feel really kind of like ashamed of yourself almost. That's the thing that I felt anyways. Is just feeling like ashamed, like, dude, why did I eat a whole freaking pineapple, bro? Like, like this is not what I intended to do. That's why I think life in general is just better without it. Is you don't have that feeling of like shame of being like a weird sugar fiend anymore because you just don't have it in your life. I don't have it in my life anymore, and so I don't have that weird sugar fiend energy anymore. And like I said with the other things of mental clarity, emotional regulation, being leaner, and I still eat things that are tasty. Life is better, and things are still tasty because I've resensitized my taste buds to real food, to food that isn't so, like stimulating and sugary and lights up areas in your brain like drugs. I don't like that doesn't happen as much anymore or at all anymore. And so I just eat food and it tastes good because it's food and your body should want food to taste good, right? At least that's the way I see it. Is like regular food should taste actually really, really good, in my opinion. It shouldn't be like this like bland, boring stuff, unless it's not really that nutritious. And the food that I eat now, it tastes just amazing, like basically all of the time, because it's nutritious and it's tasty, and it doesn't need to be hyper stimulating. But yeah, that's generally why I don't eat any sugar whatsoever. I just don't see a need for it, honestly. Like my energy levels have been basically fine. Like I don't eat any carbohydrates, right? My energy levels are relatively stable, assuming I get enough sleep per day and, I'm drinking enough water and whatnot. I will admit, like, on keto, if you're not drinking enough water or you don't get enough sleep, like any regular human being, you'll probably be tired. And I think that goes just across the board. Like I'm not immune to I'm not immune to a bad sleep schedule, or like not getting enough sunlight in the winter. So it's not like what I do is a cheat code for life or whatever. It's just it has made my life better, and that's why I would suggest other people do it as well. But yeah, the biggest thing that I would suggest to you is just try an experiment like I have, is just to see what it's like to not have any sugar. And if you want to try and cut out all plants too, you can try that too. You don't have to go that far to cut out sugars though, as far as I'm aware. You can probably still eat some like vegetables and whatnot and have zero carbohydrates, zero sugar. Or you can even eat some carbs and just cut out the sugars and whatnot and just have like potatoes and whatnot for the starches. And even that will probably be better than eating sugary stuff. I'm just like not a fan of sugary stuff, to be honest. And I think there may be a day where I go back and experiment and whatnot, but for the time being, it's zero sugar, zero carb, and I'm feeling pretty good. As long as I do other habits correctly, I'm feeling pretty good, which is nice. So, yeah, that's why I eat zero sugar. I really suggest that you try it out yourself, and let me know how it goes. That'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, with that, if you want to support me, go subscribe. Really appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next one. Be better and have a W day.